over the last 7+ years has proven its inability to manage the resources for the people of this territory. Happened under his watch as Minister of Finance. $10 million left consolidated fund, placed in Bank of Asia, was placed once, it was returned. They made some money. They were as we know it, in 2022, when we were going to COI, the rest of our boy, all the things in this country is going through. Someone still was under the scrutiny of all this community. The involved at the time lost, I think it was $12.5 million in field investment. And all Management Act in Section 25, that it says that the financial secretary may, with the approval of the premier, invest monies from the consolidated fund investment is something that we want to invest in, and the government is not investing in. And I made the example related to somebody who's going to Georgia, back and forth to get a ticket. The premier minister of finance, person responsible, doesn't know about it.
But he said he didn't know, he wasn't aware. And then he came back a week later and he magically man was absent. Yeah. And then he wants people to believe that. I don't get it at all.
No, and I'll just stop at this and give other persons the panel to give their comment. To leave out, and we don't know if there are more. We've asked questions, and that's the problem. That's the problem. What else?
It's the way how it was. It's the way how it was revealed.
That's because
it was leaked. So
the chairman is right. The chairman is right. What else? Don't we know that you know that we should at the end of the day it's money.
People's money.
It's the people's money. And to me, okay. Let's assume there is policy that governs how you handle the government money. Let's assume that policy and those protocol. You can't just have a policy and you don't have people who have the capacity to execute. And what I see the premier, the minister of finance, he doesn't know. That's blindness if you don't know. The FS is on mute. He doesn't know. And then the accountant general. So to me, if I'm going to lay all of this money for investment, if I don't have the capacity, if I don't in companies that I just can't account for, I gonna call Faulkner. Faulkner got a track record.
Right.
So why isn't the government But when he was at Social Security, he has a proven track record.
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Of investing the people's money to ensure you need a principal guarantee. You must have some vehicle that says my principal is guaranteed. Not only is my principal guaranteed, my principal is insured in some form or another.
Mhm.
Is there.
Well,
But
it goes to show
ahead.
that there was no proper vetting process in place, because if there were, you would pick up on the signs that this problem. So the vetting, you have to investigate before you invest the government's money.
Investigate where you're going to invest.
Exactly, investigate where you're going to invest. And if this was a private company with a CEO, that CEO's head would be on the block for not being able to account for
But this is
2.5 million.
this is 2.5 in addition to
$5
5.
million.
Exactly.
In addition to what we don't know. And to the point that you all are making, I believe what I hear you saying is there's still no plan that we've done, or if the investment seems to be failing, well, I want out my money before it goes to sour. But now it comes out, as you're saying, on a press conference. I think we should hold
And if it
into
is
account.
2022 that this thing came out, and I have to be transparent, I was a part of the sitting government
Yeah.
and had no clue.
The executives are past. These are people, trained professional
Yeah.
people who know better. And it begs the question, what was the motive and what else?
Mhm.
And that is why in both places.
It's in somebody's pocket.
And that is why we have to investigate this thoroughly. We can't wait, depend on the premier
No.
and his so-called people have to be brought before the Public Accounts Committee
Yes.
to answer
To
questions
which you are
to the
chairman,
people.
sir.
And it is our intention to call an investigation on this. Public investigations, and the people need to see and hear for themselves what happened with their money, what happened with the rest of the investment portfolio that the government has. The premier was bragging that he's made 2 point something million dollars. Through the door.
Yeah, 7.5 minus 2.8.
Yeah.
You're still about 4
In the whole,
4.2 billion.
in the whole of the people's
In the whole.
money.
So
In a time when you continue to of the country without
nobody
remorse.
can hold you
Yeah,
accountable.
without remorse. And I will double that. That's just arrogance of it.
And not
Yeah.
only that, can you imagine what 5.7 list for retirees? Can you imagine what it would do for some of the social programs that have
Yep.
gone dormant?
For the needed
I mean-
resources in the Health Service Association.
Yeah.
And something could have been done with some of that money to alleviate a little bit of that, because people are really hurting for her.
Turnbull, you can't just look at investing for a return in a vehicle. You have to invest in your return on investment. If you can invest in education, in healthcare, and you have to invest in your people. It's not just finding some fly-by-night company to invest in and say, I'm going to.
Investing in your people is what we should be doing as leaders.
Right.
And the people of the Virgin Islands have given this government 2 opportunities now. So I segue into this planning aspect. I segue into planning and all the different areas because we just had our Emancipation Festival. We touched on it briefly. The amount of people that were out there, nobody's suffering, nobody's having a difficult time because they are outside partying. And I know that how do you see that as a young person, a young professional, in terms of the statements being made that nobody's suffering? What are you hearing from the people that you are talking to?
When I heard the statement, the word that came to my mind was privilege. And when you're privileged as an individual, because something doesn't affect you, it's not a problem. But it's a problem in the country. If you look at, you can't look at the nights, the 2 paid nights that had artists where some persons put on the calendar, these are the nights that, this is the one night I am going to the festival village, because most families had to make financial decisions when it came to festival. Persons looked at the fact that, look, I have school to deal with, I have kids dealing with. So the one night that I would like to go to the festival just to ease some steam off of my year where I was struggling year financially, or a tough year working, I get one night only to go out and have some fun. And you're gonna make it seem as though like I don't have any more problems. In this entire country felt the brunt of that statement, because people out here struggling. You see persons out here lining up, can't wait for a back to school to start, any kind of back to school activity to start, because what persons are struggling in this country. So when you make those statements, knowing the fact that you don't really know what it feels like to stand up in a long line to pay your electricity bill, to go into a supermarket and see a price of a milk this month and the price changed 25 cents the next month, knowing the fact that you want to buy milk for you. You check what I'm saying? Like it was reckless to make such a statement, very insensitive, extremely insensitive on the backs of the people in this country that stand up in long hot lines every election. Negate some of the strain off of them, and you're gonna make such a statement. For me, it was a slap in the face to every single voter, every single resident of this. In some of these jobs with low income, it was a slap in the face of our people. It was a real slap.
I wonder if he would have rather see them stay.
Colleague who I've served in the house with for quite a while.
Help him out.
I mean, it's a few words come to mind. Very insensitive, disconnected, of the ground, you'll know that making a statement like that was out of touch
line.
and out of good taste, because we see it every day. Those of us who are in the trenches and in the streets every day see and hear the cries of our people. We hear the concerns. We see the conditions some people have to live.
And we
You know, I had to, just the other day, I had to grovel at the feet of the Electricity Corporation MD. A family was cut off. A single mother was home, cut off of electricity. You can't have a single mother home with a young child without electricity.
Yeah.
People are struggling the real way, and now they're back on track. They're paying off the arrears and getting back on their feet, but they're struggling. But they had to get a little push. People are so, the pride of us as a territory, they didn't want to ask for help. They suffered in silence. A lot of people in this area is suffering in silence because they don't know where to turn. They don't know who to turn to. And when you're the leaders who are the ones supposed to make life a little better,
know that we are live here and we are looking forward to engaging in conversation with you. The numbers to call are 494-2430 or 494-6. Send a message. We're live on Facebook and our YouTube channel is also there. We'll be checking and answering your questions. Let's just keep this conversation going. Honorable.
And if I may quickly say, where is the data to back up what was said? Because when I looked around, I was in the village 2 nights, and a lot of persons were visitors as well. And I commend the committee for the great job they did on marketing.
They did an
But
excellent job.
where is the data? Basis, they come to me as well, they call, and you try to help, but sometimes there's only so much that you can do to help somebody. But this get through the next month or to get by for the rest of the year.
have a call.
We have a caller. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. You're on live on NDP Radio. You could go ahead. Thank you for joining us.
Agreed.
Agreed, caller. Agreed. Bishop, the caller said we shouldn't be cute with the issues affecting the people. Speak your mind and say what it is, because you would for not just the issues that are feeling, but we also working with you to present solutions to some of the issues that are being raised. On that point with festival and people struggling, I believe with the decisions that we made, with the laws that we passed, with the investments that we've, and how we interact with our people. But it seems that this disconnection is not just from that statement. It seems like the disconnection is from the actions of the government that continues to do and make decisions and takes actions that they have to go back and redo again after they get criticism from government, because nobody is coming to them. Nobody is coming with a plan to say, I'm almost in a position where we are now approaching a hurricane season. Honorable Penn and I and the other members of the National Democratic Party in the had rain as we would have had in this time. What is the plan? So are we going to wait for heavy rains? The guts and the drains are blocked. Then we have flooded in different areas. And leading this territory. I think those are the things that people see. And then when you look at that compounded with the issues of persons not having enough income to provide for their food for their family.
One of the things someone said to me this morning, I wouldn't even reference to who it is. But she said, I haven't had water for 4 weeks. She lives in your district.
That's all normal.
I
apologize. I
haven't had water for 4 weeks. And she said, you have a black tank, but nothing to put in it. So we go to Nani because they allow us to fill
Use
up
water.
Use it because kind of things I believe I said to in one of my lives to the premier, if you want people to buy a black tank, then give them free water to put in the black tanks and a truck or two and let them fill up the black tank and then hold them out. Don't start just telling me a black tank. But that speaks to the disconnect because a lot of people really and truly did not have it in their budget to buy, spend $300 on have to buy water to put in it.
But no, let's keep going then. Let's keep the conversation going. The electricity surcharge, the Minister
my
of Communication said in the House Assembly that the charge is going up, but only 5% of the population is going to feel it, which is the larger companies. 95% will not feel it directly. And Honorable Penn and I challenge him. 95% will feel it directly and indirectly because if the bigger companies are taking it on, the buck have my income is not going to. I already told you I'm struggling. I can't buy this black tank of water. I can't buy water. And how do you want me to do it? Now they said, go solar because this is the way.
That the knowledge about how a business operates is not there, because if you're running a business and your expenses start to go up, what are you have to pay more? They're going to pass it on, so the price of food is going to go up. Everything is going to go up.
Yeah, I mean, you look at we've reduced our bill by about $6,000 a month.
Wow.
Right, with that installation. But so when you think you're saving money here, then they come on the back, and so you're almost climbing back now. As businesses. And what they don't understand with businesses, I said to someone after the holidays were over, I said, now we are back to trying to make some of the money because 3 days of holidays where you didn't have income, but you had to pay those employees for those 3 days where you didn't have income. Some people don't understand the burden of running a business when open,
24/7.
you
Yeah.
know, 7 days
Yeah.
a week or whatever.
Right.
We are open 5 days a week. When business is open, we are
Mhm.
open. So they when you don't have persons who understand the economy and what drives the economy and how supply and demand and the spending power of the ordinary person empowers and drives that economy.
We have a
And
caller.
Good evening, caller.
Very well. How are you? Hmm. With their families. It was not. Mm. Yes. Uh-huh. Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Yes. Carla, no, you're absolutely right, and it's a release. It's indeed a troubling situation. I want to be able to get your information, Carla. I think you know how to access me, so that I can take your situation and try to bring a solution to your problem. So after we finish this show tonight, I'll make contact with you, and then we will try to have it addressed tomorrow. Thank you very much for your call. I know we only have 10 minutes. We have another caller? I know we only have 10 minutes. I want to do something before we get ready to close. Before we have a surprise to our chairman. We hear what the problems are. We hear what our possible solutions might be. But people want to know what would a honorable Marlon Penn-led NDP
It's all in your question. Competent planning and hope for the Virgin Islands. Because the reality is that we have a government that doesn't plan. They don't have a plan, they don't have everything is tomorrow we go over to the other side. There's no plan. You have $100 million to spend. The premier is always complaining there's not enough money. You haven't accounted for all the millions you have spent or is in the process of spending so far. The meetings to outline and develop that plan, to roll out that plan to the people of the territory. Plus, you have to have compassion for people. I continue to say on the campaign trail from my people, and you see from the utterance of the mouths of the people in government that there's a disconnect from the people that they're deemed to represent. The premier is doubling down on raising fees. The member is saying in sensitive comments that if you could go to festival, you could pay your bills. It's a disconnect from this government of the realities of the people of this country. First of all, we have to assess the needs of the territory, a proper needs assessment of where we are as a territory, and put programs and plans in place to address those needs and concerns of our people in the territory. The socioeconomic concerns in this territory are great. I was a minister for social development. I see the challenges that people of this territory face on an everyday basis. The last caller expounded on some concerns that she has as a mother. It has to be revamped. We have to look at where those persons who could contribute more should contribute more to the system, so that the people who need the support and the assistance could get discussing. I was listening and I'm listening and discuss because of we did all the assessment analysis of these challenges. The cost of doing business in the BVI is difficult.
Yeah.
That was put in place to ensure that we address a lot of these challenges that we're seeing now with the business sector. An entity that could have gone in, did the analysis, looked at what the business climate is, look at where the opportunities lie, whether in the marine space, in the retail space, whatever the space was, what the opportunities were, and had the agility to recommend policy shift to the government, to recommend the different programs that we needed to put in place, and could have gone and got the international independent funding. I just had a conversation today with 3 businessmen concerning their concern. No new money coming into the territory. The Trade Commission had, as a part of its component, an investment agency.
Yes.
It had we did an investment act, and the focus of that investment Bishop Clement and all the investors on the ground to create a level of efficiency to improve the cost of doing business in the territory. So you're a business person who's coming to the territory to open a business that's going to invest $10 million. This investor has to go all around the place to every different agency to try to figure out what do I need to do as this investor. They're not going to stay. Anyone that has money to invest is not going to come into the territory and be bombarded with the bureaucracy that is presented with government. We already put those things investors. But most of all, we will have an administration that will listen to the people of this territory.
Very much, very much, very much.
When we elect people, some of them become professionals in every space. In terms of what they intend to do about themselves, in terms of infrastructure development, economic development, the socioeconomic concerns of this territory, healthcare. Bishop, you're currently on the HSA board. in terms of the next 3 to 5 years, we have to do a total overhaul to address the healthcare needs of the people of this territory. Where you have a demoralized staff, have over $20 million in unaccounted, unfunded healthcare that the HSA is asked to swallow, but still asked to do all the other things that they're asked to do. The chairman at the time, Ron Potter, who was ceremoniously tried to fire through a WhatsApp text, was able to work to get those agreements in place to ensure that the relationship between NHI and HSA was in place so that we could get the HSA to be able to bill for services rendered to the HSA. So the HSA could be viable to offer the services that the people of this territory need on a daily basis. The minister response has yet to bring that to the cabinet. So these are the things that we will continue to work on as a government to fix. We had the Health Services Authority that was moving, that was on the move. We had relationships with networks throughout the territory when we were in government. We had a situation where we had the relationship with HEMA in Puerto Rico.
Have declared my hand and say, I'm going to be on board with the NDP. And when I started to talk with Marlon, is because he listens.
That's true.
And so if you have a Ronnie Skelton in the room, a Myron Walvin in the room, a Mitch,
I don't even call me left.
Huh?
You want to call me left.
Right? You my nephews. If you have the collective experience from a political, from a private, from a legal, from all of these entities sitting in the same room with and you're listening to the people, there's no way you can come up with solutions that will address those needs. And I believe that around this team, move not only to address the needs of the people, but for economic growth, right? For clean environment,
Yes.
for a world class in
I'm going to say, but we ain't got time. I know, Shireen, give the people 10 seconds, and Aaron, give the people 10 seconds.
Well, I'd like to say to the Virgin Islands public, we are team. Person sit in offices and make decisions, but they're not out there in the trenches. They're not there on a daily basis talking to the people.
Yes.
And guess what? The people have lots.
See the fire burn. Aaron, go ahead.
I would just say our country needs to reflect our budget. The entire outlook of our country needs to reflect our budget is $500 million. Our country needs to look like a $500 million country. It needs to feel as such. It needs to smell as such. Our education system should reflect such. Our healthcare system should reflect such. Not where we have a $500 million budget country and people are still
gonna need another
So-
hour on this show.
Yes. So
Before you put up there tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you have been with us on NDP Radio. The members are getting charged, Chairman. We're gonna have to look at extending the show.
Yeah.
You've heard from our Chairman, Honorable Marlon Penn, and what Marlon Penn-led NDP would look like. And you've heard from Bishop Klein, you heard from Shireen Flax-Strauss, you heard from Aaron Parlin, and you've heard from myself, Melvin Mitch Strongbow. We are on the move. We're continuing to build our organization, and I just
to concur with the comments made by my colleagues, but just want to express sincere condolences to the families that have lost loved ones. It seems like on a daily basis we're losing someone for the territory, and particularly in my district we've lost many persons. Officer Trumpet, who's going to be laid to rest this weekend, Lennon Huggins, aka Sugar, who was a schoolmate, a person that I knew and grew up with. Solomon Pickering, Solomon Pickering used to run the farm, used to be at traffic for years. He passed away. Andrew Letson from Long Local, Lionel Skelton. There's a lot of other
and
persons.
Mr. Dinas Hendricks is going to be buried for just
Yes, anyone that we've missed, we just want to say to the families, express us in their condolences. We'll be there to support you as much as we can. And again, tune into our next show coming up. We're going to start a podcast coming in the coming weeks, and we're going to be NDP's on the move. We're going to be in vision amongst the party and the people of this Virgin Islands. I thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless and good night.